Okay, so you've probably just come from our review of Uncharted Collection, where Theo gave it a nah.
Hey, whoa! And these guys gave it a yeah.
But this is the important one. You've given a nah to what is quite it's known to be the best trilogy, the exclusive series for the PS3.
I've heard a lot of good things about it, but the same goes for games like I'm going to get destroyed for this. We're under the firing squad. For Mass Effect, not a big fan of how that all turned out. I wasn't a big fan of playing that.
Me and Amy were really shocked at that.
I probably would have enjoyed 2 though.
I love Mass Effect.
Mass Effect was amazing.
Yeah, but there are a lot of reasons why I don't like this one, and you mentioned it maybe because of the port. Like I don't know what the originals were like. The first thing that I wanted to point out was. It may just be that monitor Jordan told me, but it is dark as crap.
Like it's brightness settings, right?
It could be brightness settings. I didn't fiddle around with it, but it's like most of the game in Uncharted 3. Not even in the gameplay. Like I couldn't see it all most of the time, and that may just be the brightness. But the game is mainly in the dark. Like most of the time, you're playing in the dark, and I can't get used to that.
Because he's in like dark caves and he's nighttime sneaking around.
But I've played loads of other games, loads of Assassin's Creed and Tomb Raider. I love the crap out of, and there's a lot of light sections in those, or at least they use light in interesting ways, and it's like I want to see the environment. I want to know what's going on.
Which is really interesting. One of the big things that Naughty Dog do really well is they give you the tools to get the picture and audio perfect for your setup. You go into the settings for the Uncharted Collection and it's got like, and I've never seen this in a game before, you can point where your speakers are, like what sort of degree, sort of what's the angle between you and your front speakers, you and your side speakers. Do you have 7.1, 5.1 stereo? Then it's got the same for all your images as well, like brightness and contrast and all that. So they want you to be able to sit back and get it perfect for your setup and then have the best experience.
That sounds cool.
When you first started playing Theo, did it give you the option to adjust your brightness?
It didn't. No, not right off the bat.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah. That would have been nice.
It's all just in settings,
that I could have done things.
Because you should know by now. That's like pretty typical for games.
Well,
these days,
I don't console, so I always imagine.
I don't know if
no, they have it on PC, but I always imagine on console that you can't change anything. So I don't play with the settings.
Yeah, fair enough.
Because I also don't want to screw anything up.
I'm
afraid of consoles.
Every single game I get, before I press start, I go into settings.
Yeah.
Every single game.
I always turn the brightness right up.
Normally it's because I turn camera to invert. But while I'm in there, I always play around to make sure video and audio is exactly how I want it.
So I was in the room while you were playing Theo, and I did notice you died quite a lot.
So much.
More than I would have thought normal.
I think it was on normal.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I was on normal.
So did you feel like you were dying unfairly?
I do, and not. In the firefights, I was kind of crap, but there was still like a lot of the firefights took quite a lot to get through. But a lot of the navigation of the area was just incredibly janky, and I kept on getting caught on walls. And there were times where he'd be like, "Yeah, I'm going to go to that ledge," and then you just fall to your death, and you're like, "Well, why were you reaching for that object?" That's usually an indication. And then I kept on getting there was a lot of bad level design, I felt, where I was in this kind of section of the castle, and spoilers, and I tried to jump from one section to the other, and then I dropped into the section where I didn't die, and it was like way back at the start of the level, and then I had to like navigate my way back, and I was like, why don't you put an easier way to get up back to that location? That's such an obvious space. I think I did that about 3 times in 3 deaths.
They do that in certain parts later on in the game, and I know that's some mechanic that Assassin's Creed does really well in the earlier Assassin's Creeds. When you're making your way through cathedrals and stuff, you'll get to a point and something will drop. And you're like, now I can get up to this point really easy.
Back, so I found that really annoying, trying to backtrack constantly, and it took ages. But I want to talk a little bit about the story.
Okay, so you played 3.
I played 3.
So you've got no background history of 1 and 2.
No, I've got no history of playing 1 and 2. But what I did before I played 3 is I went on a YouTube and I went, show me the story. Somebody explain to me what's going on and show me what these characters are like. And so I kind of followed it. I sort of half watched the videos. I was like, they're these characters. And I do think it is a failing that I haven't played 1 and 2 getting into 3, because in 3, all these characters have all of these sort of relationships, and you don't really get introduced to them. The one thing you do get introduced to is, spoiler alert, again, Nathan Drake's little kid meeting up with his sort of his mate, Sully. Solar. And
what do you think of the characters?
From playing that one game, they felt relatively one-dimensional. They did to me. Like the voice acting is fantastic. The way the faces move, facial animation is great, and it's good at bringing you into the world. But there's so much sort of back and forth, like wordplay with each other, all talking to each other in cheeky ways that makes no sense to me. And I'm just like, why are you saying all these things to each other? The banter doesn't make sense.
How dare you
to
have
me.
history?
I'm so sorry.
I jumped in it too, so I did find a little bit that I didn't know who some of the people were just at the start of that game.
Right.
Yeah.
But see, 2 plays with that. Because with 2, you start and you meet Flynn and you meet Chloe, and it's the first time that, even if you've played the first one, it's the first time you've met them.
Yeah.
And they utilise that a little bit to throw spanners into the works in the relationship.
Sure.
So that works for that one, I feel.
Yeah, I feel like 2 was a good place to jump in.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah.
And I loved that game. I love the banter between the guys when they just got playing through the levels and idling. Yeah. In fact, my major, bit that I've always kind of struggled with the Uncharted series is that the set pieces and the story and those interactions are so good that at times it makes the gameplay feel like a bit of a chore to get to the next one.
I did feel that.
That's how I felt when I first played the demo for the very first Uncharted. So they released the demo before the game came out. And I remember playing it and hating it. It felt like you go down a corridor, you get an open area, people swarm in, you shoot them, and then you take another corridor to another open area and rinse repeat. And I was worried that the game was going to be nothing but that, but being bookended each section by cutscenes. And it kind of is. That is kind of the game, except they obviously added a lot more in regards to like environmental stuff, like getting from A to B is not as easy as just running. You have to climb and figure out how to get there. And then they incorporated more puzzles and stuff as well. And then like the supernatural aspects of 1 and 3 as well. Yeah. So I don't know. I love the series.
Yeah.
I think the storytelling is amazing. I think the characters they've created, they are quite one-dimensional, but it works in that action movie kind of way. It's very Indiana Jones, you know?
I love the characters.
Yeah. And I think the step up into high def and 60 frames per second is just perfect. Like the game now looks as good as I remembered it looking, even though it sure as hell does not look that good. Like when they're flipping through pages of stuff now, everything's crisp and clear. It's instead of being sort of a muddy texture. But the fact that they outsource the port, which is what a lot of people do. When you're looking at remasters, I don't think you'll find any remasters being done by the original development team.
Because they're all working on something bigger and better.
Yeah. But I think that comes at a cost. I found that the running around with Nathan in Uncharted 2 is way floatier now than I remember it being. Maybe it is. Maybe it hasn't changed, but it feels way floatier. And the blending between animations and stuff. Naughty Dog are known for their amazing animation system, and I've just noticed the blending between different like running and all this kind of stuff isn't as smooth, and footsteps don't match up as well, and they start floating around. I don't know. I think they've definitely lost some of the impact that the originals had by having someone do a port. You're not having the same level of attention and level to detail that they would have had when they first made the game. But despite all that, I'm still going with it. I still think if you haven't played the Uncharted games before and you've got a PS4,
and there's so many of those.
They said like 80% of PS4 owners.
Xbox 360 dominated that generation.
Yeah.
Most people had an Xbox 360 never touched Uncharted.
Yeah.
Now that everyone's switched, and not everyone, but PlayStation 4 is leading, especially in America. It's been very dominant. There are all these people out there that have never played the Uncharted series, and this is an excellent way to play it.
I honestly think if anyone played that the Tomb Raider remake recently and they played the Uncharted games, they wouldn't like it, because the Tomb Raider games have so many gameplay mechanics built into the navigation of the world that help you do things very, very quickly, or like don't make you feel stupid. Like I felt really stupid a lot of times in the games when the game was just bugging in 3.
Right.
Like there's a bit, I don't know if you remember this, where you're on the castle and you're looking for things. There's a bit where you're looking for something, and I was looking right at the damn thing, and I was just like mashing X, and it was always going, oh, the thing must be over here, and I was like, yeah, I'm looking at that, and then it took me about 10 minutes of mashing the button at the exact same location until it triggered, and that just
And I wonder if that's an issue with the port.
Exactly,
I wonder,
it might just be.
But I do remember that specific moment because I played through Uncharted 3 maybe a year ago on PS3, and I remember it being very precise. You have to be looking at exactly the right pixel, like centered in the screen for it to trigger that. And so maybe they made it a bit worse, or maybe it just fell through the cracks and they didn't tidy it up or something. But this sort of goes back to our conversation that we had on our podcast this week as well, in regards to do great games become less great with time? Because you're right. Uncharted series was born of the fact that there was no good Tomb Raider games. Tomb Raider was at a point where they were spitting one out every 2 years and they were pretty crap. And so Uncharted came out and everyone was like, hey, this is the Tomb Raider game we've been waiting for. And then the Tomb Raider game came out and was like, okay, they've taken what they've done with Uncharted and they've put it back to Tomb Raider and it's amazing. And it really does. Tomb Raider really does sort of stand out above the other, like maybe the first two Uncharted games. I don't know about personally if it stands above the third one for me, but for the first two I can see that. And with the new one coming out next year and Uncharted 4 coming out next year, it's going to be really a real
big competition. I can definitely see where you're coming from. Actually, like it's good for when it came out. Like the stuff that it had there was brilliant, because there was nothing else really like it that you were able to explore and sort of do that treasure hunting. It's very cool. It's interesting.
It is interesting. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens with Uncharted 4, where they can take it. Because the series does round off really nicely. Everyone thought there was not going to be another Uncharted game. And so for them to come out with Uncharted 4 now, and that's made the rounds at a couple of E3s now, and it's wowing everybody with the new sort of dynamic systems that they're putting in. Where can they go story-wise? Like, they've given him a brother.
And they've said
that he's never mentioned before, ever. He's always been like, well, you saw 3, he's like this street urchin without a family.
I thought that was weird. I played the games, obviously, and I was like, he doesn't have a brother. Like, it was weird. But we'll see. Where did he come from? Maybe he's not his actual brother. I don't know.
Maybe,
He's a fraud. He's a con man.
He's like a brother.
Yeah, maybe.
You're like a brother.
Alright, well, pick it up.
Not physically. Actually,
like I can tell.
I'd buy it.
So again, so that was a year from me. And it's
still nah.
Get it out. But like and subscribe. Leave a comment on why you think it's a good game, or if you agree with Theo, and just by being wrong, I guess.
Whoa! I try. I love me.
All right, see ya.